Hi and welcome to my PSM II course. This course covers topics that are a little bit more advanced than PSM I, but don't worry, if you've got a good foundation in PSM I and taken my PSM I course, then you should be well prepared for this course. If you do manage to get yourself a PSM II certification, allow yourself to feel smug and good with yourself because you'll be in a small niche of people that get the PSM II certification. There's a lot less PSM II holders than there are PSM I holders. That said, it's not easy and it's not cheap if you fail. You'll have to take another attempt. So make sure you study hard. You'll find that the PSM II assessment is a little different to the PSM I assessment. It uses example situation type questions and sometimes it asks you to choose the best possible answer from a range of correct answers. Also, they may ask a question telling you to pick all answers that apply rather than telling you how many to choose, though this is rare. For most questions, there is a lot of reading involved as the question sets up the context and a situation, and they're a lot more detailed. The good news is that there are only 30 questions to do and you get 1.5 hours to go through it. If you're quick at maths, you might have worked out that that is 3 minutes per question on average, which I found to be plenty of time. Hopefully you will too, even if English isn't your first language. Another thing to note is that you seem to get partial credit for choosing correct answers on multi-select type questions. So although 30 questions is less than the PSM I, you still can afford to get the odd multi-select question wrong. It seems to give you some partial credit, some partial points for the ones that you do choose correctly. However, I can't confirm this, so it's best just to try and ace every single question. PSM II covers the following focus areas as defined in the Professional Scrum competencies. I've laid this course out in the same way. I'll cover each one in turn, focusing on what the PSM II assessment is likely to ask you on. More about the exam then. It costs $250 per attempt with 30 questions to take in one sitting of 90 minutes. So you can't pause or come back to it later, but you can jump around the questions and flag questions to come back to later. The pass mark is 85%, which is high. The certification does not expire and there are no entry requirements. You do not even need to have a PSM I certification. But of course, it's highly recommended that you do because PSM II builds on the knowledge of PSM I. You do not need to have enrolled in any official scrum.org training to take the PSM II exam, but it is recommended. However, if you have taken my PSM I course and you go through this course and you spend time studying, then you should be well prepared to take the PSM II assessment. So whilst going through this course, please read the following. You've probably read some of them already, but it's great to have a refresher. You're going to need to read the Scrum Guide and know it really well, the Nexus Guide, the EBM Guide, and also go to the Scrum Learning Path. I recommend you do this sooner rather than later, so why not do it following this video? Then take some of the PSM open assessment questions right away. It'll get you into the mind or the mindset of taking these questions. I'll put a link in the resources section of this lecture to where you can find all of this for your convenience. Also, take a look at this keyword list that I've provided. You'll find it in the resources section of this lecture as well. Don't worry if you don't understand some of the terms in here yet, because you will following my course. All I want you to do at this stage is to be alert to some of the key terms to pay particular attention to. They're likely to come up on the assessment and likely to be key points that you need to focus on. Finally, another thing to note, a lot of the competencies have many overlaps between them. As you journey through this course, you may start to identify some of these overlaps, which is going to help you to build on your knowledge and understanding of these concepts. These overlapping concepts have made it difficult for me to categorize the questions, and some questions are very similar but have very different answer options to illustrate the different competencies. So the entire course that I've put together covers everything you might expect to be asked on the PSM II assessment. How they're categorized isn't all that important, it's just important that you go through all of them. Okay, so let's take a look at the first competency, empiricism.